The hobby is growing. 10x, baby. Today we're going to be looking at how the hobby has been performing over the past month. So if anyone has checked out my previous video that I did at the end of 2023, I did a pretty holistic job of looking at the entire sports card hobby and its trends over the past 3 years, specifically going from 2021, 2022 to 2023. And with that, through Terapeak research, I have put together some performance information for how the hobby is doing based on a couple keyword searches and really seeing, is that trend keeping pace? So feel free to check out that other video. I don't want to recap it, but some of that information is included here. But in today's video, I really just want to talk about how the market is performing the first month of January of 2024, so really January, looking at the past 30 days. Also a 90-day look back period, and then extrapolating both of those data points to see, is the hobby accelerating or decelerating, and at what point or what part of the market is accelerating and decelerating. So as you can see, there's a couple different search terms that I use to hopefully capture as wide of a net of the market as I could possibly capture. Looking at search terms: Topps, Bowman, Panini, Upper Deck, Fleer, Leaf. Yes, there's more search terms. I did not want to include more terms that would potentially overlap and be double dipping. I did differentiate Topps and Bowman because most of the listings on eBay do not include the term Topps and Bowman. By including Bowman, it doesn't necessarily impact the results all that much anyway. So as we look, you can see all of the different annualized spends for 2021, 2022, and 2023. The percentage changes, etc. We've covered all this in previous videos where we can really see the decrease in the market, especially going from 2021 to 2022, 2021 to 2023. What I really want to focus on in this video is those trends and really how those trends are working out in 2024. So as we look at our search terms for 2024, I have a 90-day search term, and this is information pulled directly from Terapeak. And then I also have a 30-day search term. So again, that's information directly from Terapeak. Then what I've done is I've extrapolated both of those. So based on this 30-day search term, I've essentially multiplied that number by 3 to get an extrapolated 90 days. So have the past 30 days in the market, basically all of 2024, how has that performed compared to the previous 90 days? And is it an indication that the market is accelerating, decelerating, etc. And then similarly, looking at that 90-day trend line, I've extrapolated that to 1 year. So multiplying it by a factor of 4.05 to get 365 days. Does this trend outpace the actual annualized spend for the previous year in 2023? And then if so, what is that variance? So a couple key cool things to take a look at here. And of course, the caveats are products are released at different times throughout the year. Right now, we are in a boom for Panini because two of the hottest products in really their release schedule throughout the year for two sports, basketball and football, Panini Prism, have released, at least in the retail sector for basketball. So it's going to be you have to think of that in context. Additionally, Bowman has released 2 Bowman products for baseball, and then Bowman University, various iterations of that have also been released for football and basketball. So as we look at this, a couple key things that I like to take away: the 30 to 90-day trend, meaning the market for the past 30 days is outpacing the performance of the previous 90 days, meaning, if we look at the past 90 days and we extrapolate, our last 30 days to 90 days, if that pace kept up, then we would be outperforming the previous 90 days by a pretty wide margin, so 11.24%. If you zoom into this specifically, you can see that Bowman is really carrying that load, as well as Panini. Topps is also carrying some of that. Upper Deck, not much. Leaf, not much. And then Fleer, I have Fleer included because it's more of a stable term. There's Fleer products that are released throughout the year through Upper Deck's IP, but it's very, very small. But overall, the 30-day trend is very good. So we're seeing a lot of growth. Right now, it's a gangbuster time in the hobby. So if we look at the 90-day to 1 year trend, again, that's comparing this extrapolated 90-day trend to this 2023 annualized spend up here. And then we can see a little bit of a variance. So this is a wider framework and seeing, as the past 90 days, if we extrapolate the past 90 days out to a year at that same pace, how does that compare to the previous year in the hobby? And with this, I'm actually a little bit more surprised. At least there's a couple more surprises that are intriguing. So in terms of Fanatics, not really great for Fanatics because Fanatics is wanting to 10x the hobby. So whenever we look at their product lines, Topps and Bowman, not good. So we're looking down or at least flat whenever it comes to Topps. Bowman, incredibly down. I'm very shocked by this. I mean, in the past year, this is representing, if we look at this number up here, $180 million, there were $180 million spent on search terms Bowman on eBay in 2023. Whenever we jump down here, again, we're the past 90 days, there's 37.36 million. We extrapolate that out to a 1 year, zoom out period, it's only 151 million. And this is capturing one of the biggest releases of the year in Bowman Chrome Draft. But it's also capturing all the releases because it's a 1 year look back, or at least this trend is supposed to be doing that. On the flip side, Panini doing really good the past 90 days. Again, they released some of their biggest products, football products, Panini Prism, Donruss, basketball is also releasing, etc. We zoom into Upper Deck. Upper Deck has a pretty favorable trend line. It seems to be outpacing its 2023 performance whenever we look back the previous 90 days. And we haven't even hit Connor Bedard yet in terms of him being incorporated in most of the releases. Of course, there is some Connor Bedard stuff out there that is capturing that Upper Deck key term. But if that's any indication, I think that could be a stable growth move for Upper Deck. Fleer down, maybe that increases with Connor Bedard if there's any Fleer products coming out. And then Leaf down 4.17%. I think it's also fascinating to take a look at the sheer magnitude of how much money is being spent on Leaf product. Granted, this is not just capturing the new Razor Leaf or Brian Gray's Leaf. This is also capturing the singles market for vintage product. Same thing with Bowman, etc. So that does add some stability where you shouldn't see a whole lot of fluctuation over time. But man, a lot of money being spent on Leaf product, which is crazy. So in aggregate, as we look at the overall hobby market size, specifically looking in the past 30 days, if we extrapolated the past 30 days for another 60 days, making it a 90-day period, we would see that the hobby would be growing at a rate of 11.24%, just looking at that 30-day snapshot. If we look at a 90-day snapshot and we extrapolate that over a year, it doesn't look as nice, but it looks stable, which is a good thing. Stability is great, but we're certainly not 10xing by any means. That basically indicates that we're flat. So we're up about 0.25%, which again, up is good. Whenever the market had been decreasing, with the exception of 2022 to 2023, there's a little bit more dollars in terms of aggregate spend. Anytime we can see some increases, I think that's a good thing. But again, right now we're in a gangbusters time for product being released in terms of some of the biggest commodity type products out there. The one thing that this does not capture is a lot of the box breaks that have been advertised on eBay. Those are likely migrating, or at least Fanatics Live is likely, taking a lot of that market away from eBay. So there very well could be some growth in that. There certainly is growth in terms of the overall number of breaks out there and the number of degenerate gamblers in the hobby. That's, of course, obvious. It's very difficult to quantify that because, again, we have that new platform that's sucking out a lot of that, but it's not showing up in search terms. But, again, I think this is pretty interesting. Let me know what you all think down below. As it stands right now, great 30-day trend. It's probably going to keep accelerating. I plan on doing this in February and March, especially for spring training. We should be getting a boost for the top search term whenever Top Series 1 comes out. A lot of money is spent on Topps product there. And then my prediction is in the summer, these are going to show some regression because there's really not a lot of good product that's released during the summer. Right now, we're in kind of a gangbusters, product release around the holiday season. We get a lot of really good stuff. And then in the summer, I'm not as hyped about some of the things that come out in the summer for any of the companies, which is why I'm doing most of my buying right now. So let me know what you all think down below, and we'll see you next time.